Welcome to PropTech Pulse, the podcast that takes the pulse of prop technology in multifamily. I'm your host, Shelley Robinson, and each week we'll be diving deep into innovations, challenges, and the future of work in property technology and multifamily. From AI-driven property management to blockchain and real estate, we're here to explore how technology is reshaping the way we live, work, and invest in multifamily communities. Whether you're a property manager, a tech entrepreneur, an executive, or even simply curious about the future of living spaces, PropTech Pulse is your weekly dose of insights and inspiration. So let's sync our rhythms and get on with the show. It's time to take the pulse. Welcome to PropTech Pulse. Today I have Jindou Lee. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Nice to see you again.
It's so good to see you. And, for our audience, you and I have known each other for more than a minute. I actually was, even considered alpha testing HAPCO back when I was at Prometheus Real Estate Group and in operations. And that was like 2014.
Yeah, it was 13 or 14 where we had no idea what we were doing in the industry. And someone said, hey, you should go talk to this apartment, amazing apartment owner called Prometheus. And we did. And that was... Man, that was a while ago.
I love it. I was so excited at the time too. And I'm really excited to talk to you today. For our viewers, stay till the end because Jindou has an announcement to make. And we'll make sure we cover that before we end the conversation today. And to kick off our discussion, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your founder's journey and what's brought you to this point in your story today?
Yeah. I never really thought about being a founder. It wasn't something that was part of my, I didn't have like a mom or dad who was an entrepreneur essentially. But my background has been this sort of crazy mix of careers. So I started off in video gaming. I spent a lot of time at a company called Midway Games. And Midway was the guys that made Mortal Kombat, Gauntlet Legends. Yeah, so that was kind of my very early career. I got too old for video gaming, or maybe I was like, I'm aging out in this industry. I was still in my mid-20s, but then I started a few software companies, and then 2011, I started to get really deep into real estate, so investing in real estate properties. And it was really interesting because for the whole of my career, I've been doing a lot of technology type ventures, and real estate gave me this amazing insight into how bricks and mortar is very tangible. You can use you basically can see it, can touch it, and I had a great time doing that. So as I was investing in real estate, what I found that my property managers were using pen and paper to do inspections, and that really kicked off the whole get an iPad, build an inspection app, and frankly the software out there wasn't very good. So I think we were just very fortunate, very lucky to kind of climb on this mobile wave. And so that's kind of how, we started the company. And 13 years later, we have about just shy of 6 million units in our platform now. Which is, I have to pinch myself and kick myself a lot to believe that. We have about 175 folks in the company, and we've continued to expand our product offering over the years.
That is so awesome. I love from gaming to real estate technology, and it really all fits together, right? It's gaming is software too, and your tastes have elevated over time.
Yeah. Well, the really interesting thing, which never really fully appreciate, because in software, right, you always ask, people always say they want an easy to use software. And no one really, if you're a salesperson or a founder, whatever it is in the software game, you never go and say, hey, Shelley, do you want to buy my software? It's really hard to use, but you should use it.
Yeah.
So ease of use, intuitive interface is like very subjective. And I think coming from the video gaming industry, my second manager that I had took me aside one day and said, hey, dude, such a gaming thing. Hey, dude, he's a Californian, right? Hey, you need to make it easier. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, look, we can't sit in the living room next to a gamer and teach them how to play the game. It just has to work. and you have
Right.
to create the queues and make it easy for someone to just pick up the end and start playing. And so I think that was a very interesting lesson that I learned early in my career. And then when it came to property management, as you know, we focus a lot on the maintenance persona. So the maintenance technician, maintenance supervisor, who traditionally they weren't very tech savvy. And so we had to make it super easy, dumbed down so they can just, here's a big button, press the big button, start the inspection. Here's a work order, close the work order. And I think that just has helped us a lot. And what it really means is training for new software is so minimal when it comes to what we do at HappyCo.
I love ease of use. And I have a daughter who's 19 and she expects software to really predictably tell her what to do next, or
Yeah.
at least give her really clear options, right? It's like that Amazonification prime experience that you want where it's even making suggestions. But kind of leads me into the next topic
Mhm.
with maintenance and prop tech and where the industry is headed. How do you see work evolving for maintenance supervisors and maintenance technicians and groundskeepers along with technology?
I think what we've seen in the industry is there has been a increased attention around the maintenance, the importance of maintenance, and the people that work tirelessly there to bust their butts to, solve all these issues on the property.
Yeah.
So I think that's been really, really beneficial. And if I look at 5 years ago, 3 years ago, selling our software was a little bit of a grind because an owner or property manager would be like, hey, no, like this is the bottom of what we want to solve. It's usually leasing. And so what I think's happened is because of the interest rates, the credit crunch and all that, the lack of capital in the industry, everyone's really started focusing on the maintenance persona. And so I think that's been very beneficial for someone like us. We've been spending a lot of time thinking about how do you make the maintenance job even easier? Or, we think that there's a huge opportunity, like AI is starting to be sprinkled across different pieces of the maintenance stack. That will continue to happen. For us, I look at the maintenance technician and they spend about 30 to 40% of their time doing admin related tasks. And what I mean by that is, right, filling out a purchase order, going to a management system and entering 40 fields, and it's just like things that shouldn't happen, but they do. And so I think where we'll see technology, in especially around maintenance in the next 3 to 5 years is what we are trying to do anyway is we're trying to reduce that 30-40% of admin time to zero and really drive a lot of efficiency that way, and let the maintenance person, you can't replace maintenance people. So I want them in the field fixing stuff. I want them talking to residents. I want them being like quote unquote happy, right? Because the maintenance persona, as that's the probably most of the time when the resident interacts with someone on site, it's the maintenance person. So you kind of want the resident to have like this amazing experience with Bob or John or Jose or whoever it is. So that's what we think.
And it's so true. They have the relationships many times with the residents as well. And talk about like the future of work and job expansion. AI is not going to be able to replace that work that they do and the service that they provide because they're in person.
Yeah, I mean, AI can replace a lot of the busy work. So for example, if we think about the maintenance supervisor, today they come in at 7 a.m., right? And they have this like stack of work orders that has built up overnight. And they spend the first 1 to 2 hours of their job, essentially, or their day, essentially just assigning work orders to their technicians.
Yeah.
So we looked at that and we interviewed maybe 100, 200 supervisors. And we said, how do you actually do this? And we sat down with them and we realized like, oh, we can actually automate this for you. And so we've built on one of our AI pieces is automatically scheduling work to the right technician. And then this gets more complicated if you think about centralization. And so now, instead of me knowing my property, I've got to know 5 or 6 other properties in the area or region, and I don't even know the technicians as well. So how do we assign work to them? And AI, fortunately, plays a big part in solving that. So
probably it's able to like do a skill inventory, a location and geo targeting inventory of where people are at, and perhaps even the tools that they have available to them. I can think of so many things that would really create a lot of efficiencies and reduce waste.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think for us, that's really what we've been working on the last couple of years is pushing and helping that that sort of direction of where the industry, should be heading.
Yeah.
And the great news is our customers are using it, adopting and loving it. So it's pretty positive.
I was going to ask you on the side, maintenance adoption used to be difficult. Are we finding now it's really the appetite is there for it and the using it is there, the adoption is there?
Yeah. So I think what's changed is it's kind of interesting because a lot from the management perspective, their perception is still that the technician doesn't know how to use technology or is very unsophisticated. What they've forgotten or maybe overlooked is that everyone's got an iPhone or an Android phone. So they've already been playing with computers, right, or technology. And so I remember back in the days, we used to have to train, like just train and train and train. But now they open the app and they're like, oh, this button, they just press it and they start working. And I think our software on average, we have about a 92 to 94% adoption rate. So that's something that we track that a lot because what we don't want to do is just sell someone a piece of software and no one's using it. And, management's like, oh, we paid for something, but reality is no one's using it. So we make sure that we stay in the high 90s and there's always going to be a few people that, whether it's through, whether they're new to the organization, they probably won't adopt it straight away. So we think like 92 to 94 is a good number, but, I want to get to 99, 100.
Absolutely. Are you finding more and more companies are utilizing your tools for centralization as part of their centralization efforts?
Yeah. So I think the industry has gone through a few waves around centralization, and taking leasing aside, I think leasing is one that you can centralize and you probably should. Maintenance is actually very difficult to centralize. And I think, so what we've found is organizations usually have a spectrum of centralization. So it's not like are you centralized, yes or no? It's usually a 0 to 100. And something as simple as like where you have your properties clustered, are your properties clustered or are they, really scattered? Like if it's clustered, you can centralize really well. If it's like 2 hours between each property, then maybe not. Yeah. So there's just a lot of variables. A lot of variables.
I've been hearing like maintenance coordination as a centralization focal point, really driving efficiencies, driving ways to create more abilities to centralize, or making sure the procurement process and the inventorying process and those types of things can be optimized in a centralized way. But you're right, it is super complicated to centralize.
Yeah. And it's not really, what we found, it's not just the tools. There's actually a lot around existing processes, which, right. So even that little one thing I spoke about where the supervisor comes in at 7 a.m. and assigns work, like it's really difficult to tell that guy, hey, Bob, when you come in at 7, don't do anything because the software's already done it for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then he's like, but what do you mean? And so then he's like, well, what do I do from 7 to 9? Like, go grab a coffee. I don't know. Like, do something else.
Walk your property.
But just like, go walk your properties. So I think that's where it's the technology is one piece, but the change management is probably the even bigger piece of the puzzle. And I think like for us, the fortunate side is the technology is helping the user. So by default, they're ready to adopt it. But then it just takes a lot of cycles to, get the buy-in from management, from executive leadership to say, this is an important thing. And then it has to permeate down the organization.
It always ends up tying back to, especially for the financial buyers in this situation, is like, what's in it? What's in it for the properties? What's in it for the portfolio? Efficiency sometimes is harder to measure. Dollars are easier to measure sometimes. Are you finding any trends on that? Kind of on that arena with your financial buyers?
Yeah. So I mean, like, there's it's been pretty exciting as a owner myself, an investor in multifamily properties. It's been great to kind of see these results, right? Because before I was like, oh, it's easier to use software. So what does that mean? It's just easy to use. I don't know, more adoption. But what you really can see is like, a customer can turn a unit three times faster, right? Like, they can. Just through the ease of how information and communication flows. Before it's a lot of like calling people, waiting. Now, if everything works together, you can turn a unit 3 times faster. So there's less vacancy. The one that I get really excited is sort of one technician can manage 100 units, right? That's sort of the old adage. We're seeing customers being able to push the one technician to 170 unit ratio.
Wow.
Which is insane.
A huge huge improvement case.
Yeah, it's huge. And, I think there's some like other like competitors in the industry say, oh, that doesn't really tell you the whole picture, but it doesn't, but it's a very easy concept for the industry to understand efficiency. After our calls, like we have a product offering called Happy Force. And what it is, it's a 24/7 technician that sits by out the phone and works for HappyCo, and they're responding to tickets, emergency or not. And we've seen after our emergency calls reduced by about 50%. And that's hard dollars. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
hard dollars.
It's a triage, really, is what you're offering is like oversight, triage, and determining what actually needs actioning or does not need actioning, which is huge.
Yeah. So it's been there's a lot of hard dollar savings, and what we do is we work with a customer or prospect and kind of go, well, where are you spending your dollars today? And then we go, if you use X or do Y, then and this can drive your cost savings by a certain amount. And people, I mean, like there's people are yearning to just save money on maintenance. And so I think that's why we've had a lot of success in the last 2-3 years.
It's perfect timing. I mean, we are in a really compressed NOI environment. Insurance costs are up. There's a lot of hard costs that are up. Even talent costs are up.
Yeah,
Everything is up. So finding ways to drive real savings and real cost efficiencies is a big benefit to owners. But the benefits to the maintenance team are also significant. Their jobs are hard. They're constantly firefighting and trying to, which emergency do I need to focus on now, or what unexpected 10 things came up today and the flood in Unit 201. So I think it's a really great area to focus on.
Yeah, and it's really like that visibility, I think is what we help the maintenance persona, because we look, there are some technicians that are lazy and not working hard and blah blah blah, but majority of the folks that I meet along the way are just hardworking, salt of the earth people, right? And they just want to do what's right, and they usually do, and it's always that one work order that is more complicated than just a filter change, and they spend 2 hours in the unit. That's what they get dinged for and get yelled at. We kind of provide the visibility so that any challenges they have in that unit gets rolled up and bubbled up to the management level, and they go, okay, well, this is a bigger issue than just a filter change. This is actually maybe a large preventive maintenance CapEx issues.
Totally. Are you sure you're seeing a lot even on the compliance side of maintenance that your systems enhance? Can you talk a little bit about how it makes you more compliant as a property management company in utilizing your service?
Yeah, so we have a few tools. One of our features is around incident management. And as you know, right, tracking incident management is one of the biggest pains that you can kind of go through. The challenge of incident management, or at least where software wasn't great before, was incident management can come in many different types and forms. And depending on, if there's a slip and fall versus harassment on site, like there's different steps you need to do. And what we've done is we've built a very comprehensive, flexible incident management reporting system. So that way the user can, if something goes wrong, they can log something really easily. The questionnaire changes depending on the incident. So something like that, it seems really like a minutia, but it's important because every single property, because nothing goes wrong on properties, right? So
never. Oh my gosh, never.
Yeah,
we could all probably write books based on the stories that we've heard or been involved in over the years when we've been on site. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think like general compliance, if because of the visibility across every part of the organization, it's no longer he say, she said, or whatever it is. It's you can kind of see the data. Our reporting is, I would say, one of the best in the industry, and we always get that. Our customers always say, "Oh my gosh, I couldn't get this from my other solutions, or I don't even have that information." And once that visibility is there, I think everyone is on the same page. Right? You can't hide anymore, and it's all very clear once that's sort of in place.
I love the incident reporting. That's a very critical part of the business. I can also think of 2 use cases that come to mind. And the first one is when I work with clients, some of them are still on printing out paper service requests and work orders. And then I'm like, your residents, you've been in their apartment 8 hours ago and they still don't know it's completed, and they're coming home from their work and they don't even know that you've been there because they aren't even completing the service requests in the property management system until like that night at 7 p.m. or the next morning when they get in and they're already behind for the next day.
Yeah.
That kind of compliance and customer service is so important.
Yeah. I mean, like when every time a ticket is closed out, there's a few things that happen. Like the technician is, so we use like speech, like voice AI quite a bit now. So the technician is just like, close out the ticket. So if you think about why it's important, if you close out a ticket today in an app, usually the note field just says something like fixed, resolved, right?
Yes.
And it's like, what does that even mean? But when you have voice, it's very interesting. When you have voice, someone clicks the voice button and they go, I fixed it. I guess I just turned the wrench 3 times and the leaking seemed to stop. Maybe we need to get a new microwave, whatever. Like that's like gold, like now you've created a preventive maintenance or CapEx budgeting line item. But where I was going with that is this sort of compliance around closing up the ticket. Once it's done, then we actually notify the resident. So the resident gets like hey, Bob's finished a work order. Here's a review step. How, is he out of 5 stars? How did he perform?
Awesome.
Did he solve your job? And what that does is kind of like that Uber experience.
Yeah.
And then the cool part is we take that information and we apply the rating scale back to Bob.
Good.
Right. And so that kind of feeds in his skill set and whether, it was a plumbing job. Did he finish it first time? Yes. Check. He gets another point on plumbing.
Yeah. You can look for themes that way too, on areas for coaching or areas for promotability. Yes. And we all know reputational sentiment on properties is everything when it comes to renewals. Frankly, property financial performance based on that reputational sentiment. So what a great way of connecting dots across that ecosystem. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I also was thinking of the use case around inspections. And now you have certain states, like the state that I live in, where you have to have a very formalized move in and move out process, and even photo documentation and video documentation that's required now. Are you all tackling those things too?
Yeah, this one's actually really funny because that's how we actually got our start in the industry. Our start was really around inspections, right? And like you document the before and after condition. And that's what I mean by like the stars are kind of aligning in a weird way, because we used to be like, hey, you guys need to document this. And our customers like, well, maybe we don't really have to. And now we were 10 years. Well, it was really born out of my frustration as a landlord where right, like my tent, I remember my property manager, this is in Memphis, they said, hey, we need to spend $3,000 to fix these holes in the wall. And I'm like, why? Like, why are there holes in the wall? And they're like, well, we don't know who put them there. I'm like, I can tell you who put them there, but there wasn't any factual evidence. And no proof. And I'm like, that really sucks. So yeah, I think it's things that this sort of AB, is it 2801? I think it is. That's starting to permutate across the whole of the US. It's going to go state by state. And I know there's 2 or 3 other states that are already starting to see that, which I think that's a good thing, because it's good for the resident. It's great for the management company. It's great for the owner.
Clarity, right? Condition clarity. Exactly how things are. You get a property manager changeover. If she has to go to eviction court in 2 years and it's somebody else, they've got everything that they need.
No idea. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
Yeah. But I think it's good business. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of it. Obviously, but it's annoying, like that it has to come from legislation, which is kind of crappy, because they always overdo what the intention or what they intend to do. They always overdo what they
totally
they
or
think.
The unintended consequence sometimes of non-industry language, even in the laws. Sometimes where you're like, well, that's not what you think it means, and then you have to go through the interpretation process.
Yeah, you know what's crazy in Australia? So I've got some properties in Australia still, and my property manager said to me that they're not allowed to take photos of the properties anymore because of some like PII, some stuff like that. And I'm like, wow. So I don't know, just getting...
That's going backwards, right?
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway.
Well, kind of on to another area. Any big, bold predictions for the next 3? I used to say 5 years, but things are changing so fast. I'll say 3 years. Any big, bold predictions?
Big, bold predictions. So, I mean, this one's a bit self-serving, but I think the big bold prediction is that maintenance will be the highest paid specialty in the industry, right? And I think
Skilled trades.
skilled trades, but the problem today is that you don't know how good or bad a person is. Like because if you're a owner or regional or something, you kind of don't really know. You kind of know, but if you had the information and data to go, Peter here has closed 4 times the amount of work orders. He's had 400 conversations with residents in the last 2 years, and of the 400 touch points, he's actually managed to convince 50 of them to not leave the property and stay at the property. It's just little things like that, like that, and then compensate him for renewals because that's what he actually had done, not the leasing or renewal specialist. Yeah. So for me, I'm like, that would be, I think they'll get a lot more attention. Yeah. So I think that's one of them. What else is there?
Aligning performance really now to especially the skilled trades. I've always thought that was a misalignment there to not incentivize those skilled trade teams to they take care of the property, the reputation, everything. So I love that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, I've got a bunch of them, but I think that's a good one.
Anything you think is overhyped right now?
Overhyped. Is AI overhyped?
I think that is a good conversation. At Blueprint, it was fun. There was a lot of differing sentiments. One of them was around augmentation or replacement sentiment with AI, or AI friction, people not wanting to adopt it and actually resistant to adopt it.
Yeah. I think AI is, I don't think it's overhyped, really. I kind of contradict myself, but I don't think it's overhyped. But I think what's overhyped and really challenging today is what's real AI, what's fake AI, how do I choose? If I went, Blueprint, for example, there's 20 vendors selling leasing automation tools.
Yeah.
And what is real? What is not real? Chatbots, right? I think companies like Elise have done a good job positioning themselves as the leader, but their technology, there's actually a lot of other folks that have equal or better technology, right? So then, but for the property management company, the manager, when they choose these technologies, it's just so hard to know what's real, what's not real. So I think that will settle down probably in the next 3 to 5 years, as I think what will end up happening is you have folks that will own not just the point solution, but a much more fuller piece of the pie. So maybe leasing, you might get a lease or a funnel or someone like that will kind of own that stack. For maintenance, hopefully we can own that stack and we have a ton of AI now within our product. And I think people won't want to kind of buy a chatbot for maintenance, and then they won't want to buy this other AI thing for ticket triaging. Here's another. Yeah. I think people will buy this sort of all-in-one solution, which has AI embedded inside it. Is sort of So and at the end of the day, why do you need AI? Really, it's just to drive efficiency and make people's jobs and lives happier and easier. That's what it comes down to. And so I think that's probably where the industry will head. But there's a lot of AI stuff at the moment.
It's funny. The other trends I hear are the different types of AI and what they're able to do, and educating the industry on why agentic is different than generative and different than a language learning model. And then, the original, which was algorithmic AI and just kind of learning predictive behaviors, right? So I think the industry still even got some educational areas to go. And one of the things I heard was almost like an old algebra problem, like show the work. It's like, if you have AI, make sure you can show what it does to build trust into the industry with non-AI specialists.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of where some of that video gaming ideas have kind of showed up in our work. So that sort of automatic scheduling of work orders. So we had a few options that we could have. So today we could have done the one where work orders come in, it automatically gets scheduled and sent to the technician. And so what we've done is we actually, in the morning, there's Trello, where it has all these swim lanes essentially. So think a Trello board, and on the left is all the unassigned work orders that came in. So Bob would come in, he'll click auto assign, or we call it smart assign, and then Joy's our AI persona. She starts to take the list of work orders and physically can see them moving to the different people on the board.
Yeah.
And then Bob still has the ability to like move stuff around and things are wiggling like, hey, these are,
Yeah.
And so that step is very important because Bob feels like he has control over the AI and what the AI is doing, it's learning. Like Bob keeps giving one specific thing to one person. Maybe that person's good at plumbing.
Bob. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So just that little step, I think, still allowing the user to feel in control of AI is very important. And I think the more astute companies will keep doing that. And then that builds trust within the user. And once they have trust, then they'll go auto assign, do it for me. Yeah.
That is an awesome use case. And I even like the little wiggling on it, almost like your app store when you're trying to rearrange your icons. It's like there's action to be done and it's intuitive already in all of our minds that we need something with that. Or say, okay, I'm good with it now and click done, right? It's done. Like intuitively what the steps are. I love what you're working on. And, one last item, I know you had an announcement that you wanted to share. So this is a good time for that.
Oh, yes. So we've heard a lot about how there's a lack of attention paid to the unsung heroes of the industry, right? Which is what, in our view, the maintenance technician.
Yeah.
And then what I was doing was I went around the industry and there's conferences for the leasing persona. So AIM for leasing marketing, amazing conference.
It is.
What we found was like there wasn't anything for maintenance. All right. And so we're like, why not? And just lots of people have talked about it, but no one, actions speak louder than words. And so last year we put on a conference called the Fixed Conference for Fixed Summit.
Yeah.
And that Fixed Summit is essentially a maintenance only conference. So we ran it last year. It was in Seattle. There's an upcoming conference in April next year. That's our second one that we're running, and it's going to be in Texas.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if for the listeners, if you have technicians that work for you, if you're a technician, if you're a supervisor, head to fixedsummit.com, FIXED summit.com.
Oh, I love the naming. What a great way to serve the industry and bring it forward. And I think a super important summit. So I might try to get out there.
Yeah, and it's not a dodgy like hotel in the corner of nowhere. What we try to do is to give it's actually like a maintenance appreciation week. They get to learn from their peers. All the speakers are from the industry. We don't have like anyone from corporate telling them how maintenance should be done.
Yeah.
It's a FUBU for you by you, but it's like for maintenance people. So it's pretty much it there.
How awesome. Well, I really look forward to hearing about how your second one goes and really appreciate your time, Jindou. So good to see you at Blueprint and reconnect again. And we put the links to everything in your episode and we'll post it as well.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
And that wraps up another episode of PropTech Pulse. I hope this conversation has given you valuable insights and perhaps even sparked some ideas for your own PropTech journey. Remember, the future of multifamily is being written right now with every technological advance and innovative solution. So stay curious, stay connected, and keep your finger on the pulse of PropTech. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to PropTech Pulse on your favorite podcast platform and share this along with your colleagues. You can also find us on social media for bite-sized insights and updates. I'm Shelley Robinson, and until next time, let's keep innovating, disrupting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in PropTech and multifamily. Let's build it together.